For us.
Set it treated,
Rap,
we get brick.
rap, rap,
Says we
rap, rap,
get
rap, rap,
kick.
rap.
And it's rap, rap.
Rap, rap, huh? Welcome to Blab Rats, the show where we play recordings of broadcasters who are the subjects of government experiments. My name's Host, and this is my man, and the man behind the scenes, producer. What up, Deuce?
What's up there, host?
Oh, not so much, Just been seeing Lila on again, off again for the past few weeks,
Yeah, I can tell you've had a little bit of a pep in your step.
Well, did you? That kind of makes me blush, honestly, Deuce. Like I said, I'm tucking in my shirt a little more, standing up a little straighter, getting a few more handies than I used to.
Now, when are you gonna do the right thing and bring this lady down by the alley so I can finally meet her?
The alley? I don't think she's ready for the alley.
Yeah, so when's she gonna come down to the lane?
Hey,
You know?
Toots, can I get about 2 more bubbles? I don't think she's ready to handle the atmosphere down here. We know too many people. We're like the mayor and vice mayor of Bowling Town. And she's not into politics. She doesn't like bowling. I don't know what other way to say it. Lyra doesn't like bowling.
Is it a deal breaker for her that you work in a bowling environment, or is this? I mean, do you see
No.
this being something she can live with you coming
It's
home
not a
smelling
deal
like
breaker
Lane
if
all
She
day?
doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
And nothing's a deal breaker if she doesn't know.
Interesting.
All I have to do is keep sending her the $2,500 every week, and she's just got to come visit in like 6 weeks.
Oh, you guys
For a
haven't been
couple
meeting
days.
in person yet.
In person, online.
Where is she living now?
Emails. She lives in Nordics, Finland. What's going on with you though? Enough about my private life. What's going on with you, producer? Any what's new in the producer's love nest?
Well, you know, me and the wife just renewed our vows. Had a pretty big ceremony. The whole family was there. Yeah.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yep. Was
I guess I'll send a gift. Did you register somewhere?
God damn it! I am so sorry. I knew I forgot something. I meant to invite you. It was just there was so much going on, and as you know,
It's okay. It's about.
we've been getting an influx of so much stuff from the fans on the message boards at all the different tack boards around town.
Shout
That I
out.
didn't even realize I didn't invite you till just now, and I'm so sorry.
It's alright. I was busy with Lila all last weekend anyway, so it's all good in the hood, dude, sir.
Oh, I
Can you
just
still
feel
say that?
it depends where you live.
Hood Street in Hood River, Oregon.
Then that would be a lot, I think.
Good.
They probably use it a lot. That word a lot there.
I think they say the N word a lot there too.
So, host, why don't you tell the listeners what we got in store for them tonight?
Well, all I have is the title. You know the biz. All I know is
You do
what
this
it
one.
says.
You do this one. You do this one.
The whole thing, front to back. I'm
Not
wiping
fr-
the whole thing.
No,
front to
no, not
back.
front to back, but just because you just have a lot more of the Brubecks information queued up into your head. You drive
Today we're
it.
taking a look at jazz legend Dave Brubecks. Apparently, he was into some really fucked up government experiment shit. Or at least the story was. This, for me, was a passion project that I've worked on over the past 7 years. Dave Brubecks was not just a mentor for me growing up, but he was also a neighbor and family friend. So I do this in memory of him. This is for you, hot dog. That's all it is. Guerrilla warfare. of our minds.
Welcome to From Jizz to Jazz, the Dave Brubecks story. Subtitle: White America's Milquetoast Acceptance of Jazz. Tonight, a little programming note before we get started. You will be hearing the word jizz a lot tonight on the broadcast as we delve into the life and career of jazz legend Dave Brubecks. We need to keep in mind the era in which he was plunking those keys. This era was different than the days that we live in today, 1989. And jazz was not something that you were allowed to say as a white American. As we keep in mind these parameters, we remember why jizz and jazz were separated. It was the white upper crust culture snobs who refused to say jazz in their living rooms, in their speaker houses, in their concert halls. They would only call it jizz. The upper crust culture snobs thought that saying jazz was uncouth and low class. But they liked the sound, hated the name. So every time you hear the word jizz tonight, think about this. Dave Brubecks started his career playing jizz, but he ended it playing jazz. Tonight, this audio biography will be sharing interviews with some of the closest and most influential of Dave Brubecks' friends. Dan Brubecks, Dave's identical mirror twin. Jazzmaster Jizzman, Dave's idol, mentor and fiend. And Ruben Wednesday, who tooted all the honkers for Brubecks. Only one of these three interviewees was there the day that Dave Brubecks was born. A handsome devil, they say. And it was his brother Dan who was there. Almost conjoined, but born after him by a mere 7 seconds. Most people fall off bulls faster than that. Now let's play my interview with Dan Brubecks, twin brother of acclaimed jazz master Dave Brubecks. Now, I know you were born out west, but I never exactly got the whereabouts. Was it Salt Lake City somewhere? Nope. It's about 800-900 miles further out than Salt Lake City, I think, as the bird crows. And we were born in Ione, California, actually. It's a nice town. Good town for jazz, and we were lucky to be born there. Look what it did for us. I mean, made the Brubecks brothers international superstars. Then it's true that you, Dan, yourself also played music, correct? Yeah, I played the cowbell, and I also played the triangle. I'm a master of the esoteric percussion. Like a fish with a rigid back, I could play that. Something called an Ouroboros recorder. I could play the donkey tail blues on a harp. This is the sounds that I can make. But yeah, Dave taught me pretty much everything I know. They say I'm the original Meg White. So in Ione, California, where your slightly older brother taught you everything you knew. Yeah. What was life like growing up in Ione, California? What was life like? What was your family life in Ione, California? House was a house that Jazz built. Really a house that Jizz built back in those days. And you'd come over And people would be coming over. They'd be like, "Hey, what's this live music going on in here?" But really, we'd just be playing our jizz records, and that's how I knew growing up in Ione, California. And it was always a borderline hootenanny every night, just sort of illegal shenanigans. And the Brubeck house was considered the most fun Swiss American household in Ione, California.
I'm glad you mentioned the Swiss. Were there a lot of Swiss in Ione, or were you the only Swiss?
There were 3 Swiss families, as us, and the Swiss, and then there were the Swiss pants, and 2 of them. And 2 of them died.
Was that an impactful moment in your and Dave's life?
Yeah, because if you're Swiss and you live in a community or Swiss American, you actually their will is nullified, and you absorb their any kind of Nazi memorabilia that they might have. It's so that first you take care of your own. That's Swiss America's. And then if there's leftovers, you give them to the kids or whatever the fuck you got. Maybe a dog.
So, what did you guys get when those Swiss people passed?
Couple Hitler originals. Couple got the dog tag of Hitler's dog.
Why was that death so impactful in your life, if you don't mind me asking?
It was actually King Leopold II's illegitimate son. So we inherited King Leopold II's haunted piano, but haunted or not, Dave and I sometimes loved playing that thing. And once we got that in our house because of the Swiss will rule, Dave was like a future piano master, just in a little boy's body, eating hot dogs with mustard right off the piano while he played it. I'd never seen anything like it.
Isn't that true? That's how we got the nickname Hot Dog Dave in your town?
Absolutely 100% true rumor.
Fantastic. Little known fact about Dave Brubeck. All the people in his life, his brother, his mother, his father, his sister, all the people close to him in his life, they all called him Hot Dog, or HDD, or Hot Dog Dave, or Dog Dave, or Hot Dave, sometimes even. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. I do not eat hot dogs, though. Everybody but me, because I'm gluten-free.
So, do they call you just the buns?
They call me Bun Freak.
Well, bun freak.
I guess I didn't mention I could play the buns like a bongo.
Well, I better not let you around my wife, Dan.
You got a wife? She got buns?
Not that you need to hear about.
What timber?
I'm not a jazz expert here, but I don't know timber from tamper. But here's what I do want to know. Growing up with a talent like that, did the whole family just say, hey, we're hitching our wagon to this hot dog and piano boy and take that train to Jizztown?
Well, almost, but then they said, Dan, you gotta play in case something happens to Dave. Because we grew up on a farm, right? A cattle farm. My
so
daddy was a cattle rancher, so it is dangerous work. So David had to go out there, get his fingers smashed up sometimes by like an angry bull, something like that. Well, no, they made me start playing piano too, just in case something happened to Dave. So like I could be like a Dave impersonator. They wanted to keep me a secret.
Oh, so you didn't go out
They wanted to prestige me.
at all after... are you saying you didn't go out of the house that after the point where Dave learned to play?
I never had an official Social Security card.
You didn't have a public life?
No public life to speak of other than my jazz life, which was very public, but I did wear a burqa.
So how did you feel about people? How did people feel in your life about you just having to not exist? Only your parents and you until you're an adult? Was it when you came out? When?
I would go on like some of the days of school. Like I get to go on Wednesdays, and so I got to go every other Monday too. So I got to be Dave sometimes in school and just getting my name out there. I hugged a girl once that was Dave's girlfriend. That was kind of nice. Yeah, my mom told me I was Wednesday smart, and I didn't know what that means until I looked it up on...
The Dewey Decimal System.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember my mama, after we got Leopold II's, King Leopold II's piano, she started really studying that piano. She started looking at it funny every day, looking at all the curves. Then she started, one day she touched it, and we all figured out it made a sound. And Mama never stopped thinking about piano ever since then. So sooner or later there, we all grew up and Mama taught us the piano and talked about us not being cattle ranchers even though we're Swiss and that's our birthright. I really wanted to study animals and Dave agreed. But one day Dave was in class goofing off like he always did. They were dissecting a hyena and his was pregnant. He took those hyena pups out. And he had the whole class laughing with his little vaudeville routine he had with those hyena pups. I was supposed to be there that day. Head of the department kicked Dave out. Said, go fucking do something else, you fucking piece of shit garbage man. Go to Garbage Man College or in the music department. Isn't that a musical? The Garbage Man? If not, you should write it. That's exactly what he said. The rest is jazz history, I guess I should say. History.
And that's when the family moved out west and put all their eggs into the jizz basket?
One day, Dave gets his draft card in the mail. I'm not there. It was my dream to go to war. Dave took this from me again. First the hyenas, now the major, and then on top of that, he takes the plural Dave draft card and he just goes. He gets free trip to Europe. Free paid trip to Europe. Too good to be true? I guess not. Because you know what? It gets better. So it's not too good to be true yet. So I stay back here, assuming the identity of an unknown cousin named Zygatron. And he connects me to Jazzmaster Jizzman, who I will introduce Dave to when he gets back. And additionally, I befriended, I must say, as under cover of cousin Zygatron, Ruben Wednesday.
Oh, you befriended Ruben Wednesday. You knew Ruben Wednesday before.
First, I was the original. Yeah,
Dave did.
that's correct.
You certainly didn't seem to mind that, he got to play the piano all the time while you were playing the cowbell.
Nope.
That presumably just came from the farm that didn't even purchase for you. You just found it.
Well, it came from a stray cow that ran into our yard. I named her Jezebel.
And that was Jezebel's Bell.
Jezebel's Bell.
Wasn't that a song that you had on her first album, Take Two?
Yep, Take Two. Only two instruments, a cowbell and triangle. It charted. It did chart on the Triangle charts. It was top 40 for a day. And then Cowbell Hit Me Home.
There's 40 songs that are on the Triangle charts?
Cowbell Hit Me... Yeah, it's all time.
Okay.
Cowbell Hit Me Home. It was supposed to be a home run track, for the ball game. Cowbell Hit Me Home. But it ended up being a day club anthem. And that's day clubs. If you don't know what day clubs are, they're like beach clubs, but there's no beach. It's just during the day.
Well, all right, Dan. That is fascinating. So, now, did Jazzmaster Jizzman know that you were Dan? Or did he think that you were Dave the whole time?
He thought I was someone different entirely. He thought I was Al Hurt's cousin.
Oh, he thought you were Zygo.
I had a whole different con on Jazzmaster Jizzman. He thought I was Al Hurt's cousin, Trindy. I eventually came clean with Jazzmaster Jizzman after a couple dates. Told him who I was, told my whole story, said, that's amazing. Your story's amazing. When does your brother get home? I need to get him in the studio immediately. Come to find out that he was playing a Red Cross show with the person I met first, Ruben Wednesday, who chipped off not 2 days later, rendezvousing with my brother. Maybe he could tell you a little bit more about it. I wasn't there.
And with that, Dan, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
You're welcome. It's good to talk about things. If anyone wants to be pen pals, my address is 1479 2564 on the 36th side of the fighting fire.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Brubecks.
Programming note. The word jizz used to mean jazz. Where did you first meet jazz legend Dave Brubecks?
I first met Dave Brubecks. It was at a Red Cross jazz event. It was at a jazz hall in, I want to say somewhere on the border of Austria and Switzerland, perhaps. And these daddios was just honking their tutors and clanging the keys and shaking their money makers and just jizzing the night away. And I, in order the cool blue night, I heard one of the finer sounds I've ever heard on the old clang box, which is of course the jizz term for the piano. And this boy was playing piano better than anybody I had ever seen. And so I went over there and I said, "Peep this, Daddy-O. Come under my tutelage and I'll teach you all there is to know of jizz. Come and suckle on my jizz teat." And my life is frankly at the time, looking back on it, a haze of smoke and swing dancing and rains of jizz all over the place. Wherever there goes jizz, there goes I, Jazzmaster Jizzman. Of course, that name was very risque at the time. The name Jazzmaster Jizzman was very risque. It had the word jazz in it. And at the time, you just did not say jazz. But alas, we went from jazz night to jazz night. I was at this event, that event. He finally stopped warring, you know. I looked up one day and on my doorstep is this young man. I said, "Let's go to the mellowest place there is and really figure out this whole thing."
Let's go to this brand new state. It's only been open 3 years.
It was all the rage. We had just got a new tropical state, finally. And we needed to get over there and fuck it up. And if there's one thing we knew how to do, it was take other cultures' stuff for ourselves. And this was a whole fresh new one, and there's nothing mellower than that.
Now this takes us to a rather pivotal point in the story. Tell us, you guys did something remarkable and legendary while you were there, but also terrifying and life-changing. Can you describe the events that took place in 1951 in Hawaii?
Yes, well, he and I went there to have a mellow time. And Daddy-O, the vibes were mellow. Swinging, jazzing. And we're having a swinging jizz time with a couple of gals dancing. And old Dave was always a risk taker, everybody will tell you that. And he danced a little close to the edge of the dancing platform, and it was really a minor spill, frankly, when he fell. It was not a big fall, but the implications were huge. He'd landed on his hand, and his hands were his magic. He landed on a tropical sea device that they had there called a sea-doo. I've never heard a thing of this, the sea-doo before, but it was a beautiful thing. It was this, it's a fast boat type of it was like as if a motorcycle were a canoe. But he landed on it with his good hand and his good clank box hand, and that was the last. We thought, oh, this is the end of what could have been the Michael Jordan. You've seen this new guy, Michael Jordan, they have now. He was like almost at the beginning of that, what I'm sure that guy will end up being by the time he's done. and he damaged his hand pretty badly. And we all thought this is the end, but it was not. He made a miraculous recovery, and then just as we thought things were going better, that we got the call about his mom. Yes, back in those days, things were not so populated as they are now, and Dave was in there getting rehabbed for weeks and weeks and weeks, and just when his clackbox hand is on the mend, and he's, to be fair, it never was what it was before, even what most people have heard of him is still lesser than it was, but he made up for the injury in leaps and bounds. He learned to move his hand in different ways that other people didn't, and you couldn't hear the difference. It was miraculous, and he made this terrible uphill battle for those weeks and weeks, and he finally got out of that hospital. And the day he got out, he got a call that his mother had tried to kill herself. The psychosis with the piano had been too much. I'm sure, as some people know, there's a theory that say the piano he had was cursed because it was evil. But I personally think it was evil because it was Belgian. But that's all it had to be evil. You don't want a Belgian piano, but boy, he even made a piano. Dave Brubecks is so good, he even made a Belgian piano sound good, you know. In those days, you know, your doctor lived upstairs, and he worked down in the office. So this is a small town hospital. One room's a hospital, the next room is a record label. It was normal at the time. While Dave was there, freak coincidence, the record label owner comes into the front lobby. He says, "Damn it, man. A week ago, all we heard was nothing but the finest piano getting played out of here. For a month straight. And then it stopped. What were you playing in here? I gotta get that guy signed to my label. What record label, what record were you guys playing in here?" And they said, "Daddy-o, I ain't playing no record. That was a young man that's playing jazz. And you know where he is? He's right upstairs." It was next stop, the top of the charts for old Hot Dog Brubeck. And Hot Dog and the Jizz Hound didn't see each other every day like we used to after that. But I was always there in his corner, howling away the way the Jizz Hound do. Daddy-o.
Get yourself a frozen dropsicle. It's time for a drop.
Lick the drip and drop the drop. Bye, Brad's drop.
Ready to roll anytime you are, Chief. The saga of Dave Brubecks, the good, the jazz, and the ugly continues with an interview with Dave's favorite honker, a man who couldn't walk past a trumpet without tooting it, or sit by a saxophone without honking it. Let's talk to him right now. Chief Honker for Dave Brubecks, Ruben Wednesday. Ruben, great to meet you.
Great to meet you, Daddy-o.
I love the harmonica play. Do you consider yourself a harpist, Daddy-o? Is it cool if I call you Daddy-o?
Hey, anyone could call me anything, Daddy-o. You know, if it honks, I blow. That's my rule.
Can you tell us about some of your experiences playing beside Hot Dog Dave Brubecks?
Oh boy, before I was playing with Hot Dog, I was playing with Al Hurt. And before I was playing with Al Hurt, I was playing with Lawrence Welk. All the swingin'est, greatest swing, jazz, and jizz men of the days. Your Hurts, your Welks.
You played on both sides of the genre? You were a jizzer jazzer, as Dave later coined, is that correct?
That is correct. I was the impetus for the phrase jizzer jazzer, I believe. You'd have to.
Forgive my ignorance.
Only Dave would really know, but yep, I was one of the OG jizzer jazzers.
When was the first time you became aware of Dave Brubeck, Ruben?
Well, I first became aware of Dave Brubeck when I met Dan Brubeck, who I thought was Dave Brubeck. And
Wow, how did that make you feel?
well, I felt like I was in a Twilight Zone, Daddy-O, and
What did you think of the 1954 cover of Time magazine where Dave Brubeck was dressed as the Unabomber?
well, of course, it was very controversial, and it was really all of that happened at the same. It was really we were just caught up in the momentum of all the progress we had been making. One day we're just mellow guys on vacation in Hawaii breaking our hands, and the next we're signed to Fantasy Records, and we're being talked about, and we're the talk of the town, and so we just had so many expectations. I think Dave said, "Hey, this will really, they think they want me to be the jizz man. They want me to be. They want to hear the jizz. No, I got some jazz for him." And that was really when he let people know how much jazz he had really had in him.
Before Dylan went electric, Brubeck went jazz.
Yeah, Daddy-O.
And that's all thanks to you, Ruben Wednesday. What an amazing and talented tutor you are.
I'll make anything honk.
Can you honk a little bit about the famous album, the first ever jazz platinum album, Time Out, Dave Brubecks?
And we were just jizzing around, and Dan was in there playing his cowbell, and sometimes he could get a little pushy with Dave, and so Dave said, "Hey, maybe we could take a time out real quick." And so Dan said, "Okay, I'll go, get some coffee. I got a couple errands I got to run anyways." And then around then, we were just kind of kicking back, and something happens whenever Dan leaves a room, and it just kind of lightens the vibe. And so he leaves, and all of a sudden, Dave says, I have a hankering for some tankering on these clock box keys. Think you could honk me up some notes?" And I said, "I'll honk up a loogie of a melody for you, Daddy-O." Dan comes back, we got a hit on our hands.
So, Ruben, Daddy-O, Wednesday, tell me, baby, who was it like shaking things down in the Time Out studio and playing the legendary hit, Take 5?
So we're in there, and we're like, whatever this next song is, it has to be the one. And Dave says, "Okay. But I got something to say. It's got to be in 5/8 time." And we were all like, whatever, who gives a shit? People are going to make a huge deal out of it, he said. And we were like, no, who cares? It's a time signature. No one will ever mention it. Ever. No one's ever talking about a time signature in music. And then Dan was like, yeah, that's crazy. No one cares. Who cares? Just make it 4/4. The 5/8's not going to matter. It's annoying. And he said, no, trust me, it'll be fine. So whatever. We do it in 5/8. We do take 1. We do take 2. We do take 3. We do take 4. It's just not going well. It's a weird time signature. And again, no one cares about time signatures. I mean, this is jazz. This isn't like math class, Well, Dan says that's it. We got 6/8 or 4/4. Just maybe 3/4. But this 5/8's got to stop. 5/4's got to stop. Whatever it is. And he stormed out. And yet again, while he was out of the room, Dave's like, hey, let's just give it one more try. We're clearly not, we've got to practice. Let's just keep practicing. He'll be back. And he does it, he likes to keep the tapes rolling, so we go ahead and do take 5. And right before we start, he said, oh, wait, hold on. We shouldn't do this. We need someone to play the fish with the rigid back. I said, hey, the parts of the song where I'm not honking, I happen to have been trained in it. I can play it. So when you hear it on that track, it's actually me and not Dan.
Even though Dan is credited.
Even though Dan is credited, which was just to keep him, from losing it. At the end of the day, Daddy-O, we hit the charts with a bullet, and it was a riff between the Brubeck brothers ever since.
Incredible.
Dan never talked to me again. I stabbed him in the back with the fish with the rigid back.
Thank you for sharing your time with us today, Ruben Wednesday and every Wednesday. And be sure to tune into Ruben Wednesday's podcast, Ruben Wednesday's Daily Tuesday podcast, every Monday on ESPN podcast. An incredible journey Dave Brubeck went on through the 40s and 50s, from war and an accidental non-combat jazz unit being assembled to a freak sea accident in Hawaii, the first of its kind, to then being the first platinum jazz artist. This acclaim of releasing Time Out in 1954 brought Dave Brubeck to new heights in the world of culture and in the world of jazz. Let's take a moment to name several of his greatest albums. Albums such as Hooters Welcome,
Honkers and elephant tusks.
Honker's Paradise,
Turd Murphy.
Dave Brubeck Mouthful of Jazz,
Covered in jazz.
Swingin' Jizzy Shakes,
Honk Tonkerson.
A Honkin' Jazz Good Time at the White House with Dave Brubeck, Madhouse, Fun House, Jazz House, Jizz House,
Swell toots from Big Honkers.
Still Got My Jazz Pants,
World War Jazz. Come home, boys. This jazz is for you.
All I Need Is One Jazz,
Classic Jazz Hip Hop Remixes Volume 4 with the Fat Boys. Dave Brubeck, Where's the Dickie? Cool Pittsburgh Nights. Jazz Dickie, Big Swingin' Honkers. Tacos Mas Gringo. Mambo Man and Cajun Honker. Jazz Up Your Toot Holes. Teen Jazz.
Granddaddy's Jazz for Kids, Smooth Hot Jizz, Jizz First, Ask Questions Later, Jizzer Jazzer. Might as well face it, you're addicted to jazz, of Robert Palmer tribute. Jizz for Seamen, White Jazz for the Hot Seas, Peanut Butter and Jazz. Those are just some of the albums that Dave Brubeck lent human culture and the universe at large during his brief time here on a little planet we call Earth. Speaking of Earth, Dave Brubeck always had his eyes on the stars. And in 1975, he got his wish and had an asteroid belt named after him by the acclaimed astronomer Giancarlo Pedofilio. Ironically, Dave Brubeck became the only man killed by his own asteroid. On May 5th, 2001, Dave Brubeck committed suicide by asteroid. After many years of being program director at WJZZ, The Jizz, which meant something different back then, we remind you, he met his demise at the hands of his own asteroid. The meteoric rise that Dave Brubeck went on will not soon be forgotten, as we will jizz on in heaven with Dave, even if it's Dan impersonating him up there. That concludes the Dave Brubeck story. The good, the jazz, and the ugly. Join us next week as we take a look at the ins and outs of the scandals that rocked the puppet-based children's edutainment industry.
I had my face buried in a bowl of cookies. I could not see what was happening right in front of me.
We look at the inappropriate behavior,
I had no idea what I was walking into.
the harassment, they snubbed his awfulness, and the many criminal accusations.
1, 2, 24 women came forward with accusations against the Count.
La 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 la. And Elmo works at you? I swear to God. If she told you I hit her, she's lying.
I begged Slimy to drop the charges, but he wouldn't. All that and more on next week's episode, Sesame 2 Street.
These broadcasters have no memories of the words they read. Welcome back to Blab Rats, where you just heard quite a saga. A Dave Brubeck story unlike anything I've ever heard before. Wow. You like jazz, producer?
Oh, I mean, if ever there was a jazz guy, I'm that guy.
I thought you liked jazz.
I clap by snapping all the time. But boy, what a fascinating episode. I know you, host, had been spending a lot of time on this episode. That's, I think, something people don't know about host is that he's real hands-on with a lot of the creating of these episodes, and he does really as much heavy lifting behind the scenes as anybody, but he just doesn't like to talk about it. And even furthermore, he even pitches in around the lanes. Like he's down there fixing the pins sometimes. Like he's chipping in everywhere.
Spare? No
Yeah.
problem. I'll come in. I'll deputize.
Yeah, you need a ringer. He's a classic ringer. If you're in a league and you're down one and you need somebody, he'll ring right up.
You got a 9-pin hanging out there. I'm shooting that fucker down with a bowling ball.
But anyway, I say all that, host, to say that it was a great find this tape, and I wanted to know, you had mentioned before the government implications. Isn't it true that there are some folks, mainly in communities online, that this is lines of people at the DMV, people online that think that perhaps the injury that he recovered from so miraculously was aided by the government and some experiment done on his hand that made him so good at piano.
Interesting question and programming. Now we do know this because we have the data, because in the state of Hawaii and the state of California, the place where Dave Brubecks got injured and the place where Dave Brubecks was born, they actually do ask this question. Do you have an inline at the DMV? So we have data on this one, and we can say that 68% of the population of California believes that there was shenanigans involved, government shenanigans, people waiting in line at the DMV online.
Some people even theorize it goes as deep as Dave, the twins Dave and Dan themselves, that they are not in fact twins, but possibly even clones of their father, and their mother was a scientist, psychiatrist assigned to keep everyone on the up and up.
I've also heard rumors that Dan and Dave are not twins, but they're one person.
This is a Tyler Durden scenario.
This is a classic Tyler Durden scenario. One of them Tyler Durden, the other's Brad Pitt.
But for you, host, I know you're, like you said, you were a part of the community, the Swiss community that he grew up in. You were neighbors with him, presumably when he was older. Was there anything you learned from this that was news to you that you hadn't heard before? Real eye-opening information, obviously, about where our culture was.
Jizz.
Yeah.
I didn't know that jizz meant anything but cum.
Yeah, it seems to have been whitewashed from history.
Absolutely painted over.
Yeah, just
Fucking
whitewashed, coated. Yeah.
Yep. Total gaslight by sperm.
Total glaze job.
Yes, I have deep feelings about Dave Brubecks, but that doesn't mean that we can't be friends and he can also be a government experiment, man.
Yeah, pretty miraculous way to kill yourself, by the way.
Yeah. That the first and last of its kind, until there's another jazz man named Dave Brubecks with an asteroid named after it in these many parallel futures that we are living in our present. The many parallel futures of tomorrow. What does tomorrow's future hold for us today?
Any final words there, host, on
Take 5 classic, take 6 classic, take 1 classic, take 5 classic, take 6 classic, take 7 classic. They're all classics, except for take 2. Me no like you.
I've always been a 3 guy myself.
Take 3, fan or
Fan.
demonizer?
Oh, big fan. Big fan of the Trace.
Today's Blab Rats episode brought to you by Das Gravy House.
Mine potatoes need Das Gravy.
Come on down to Das Gravy House, where we have Das Gravy for Das Potatoes.
Scroats, does your significant other hate your balls? Scroats is the one and only scrotum cream that'll help make your balls look young, fresh, and tight. Scroats, keep them balls tight. Send in a piece of paper with the word Blabrats to P.O. Box 3585 for a 20% discount on your first order of Scroats ball cream. Scroats, keep them balls tight.
Memo line, nuts up.
She'll go nuts for your nuts with Scroats.
Say nuts up to Scroats. And sponsored by EPOC, Digital 2-Pack Pen Pal. What you really want? Hail Mary, run with me. This ain't... You don't want DMX as your pen pal. Please give me 2-Pack, even if he's EPOC, the Digital 2-Pack Pen Pal. He'll read to you every day.
He'll let you know I ain't mad at you.
And if he has some good news from a family member, he'll let you know.
Brenda had a baby.
Wow, that's great news. Thanks for sharing. Hail Mary, run with me. EPOC Digital 2-Pack. Hit him up.
Come down to Johnny Glazed Donuts and get a glaze job on your donut. We don't like dry donuts over here at the wettest donuts on the market at Johnny Glazed Job Donuts.
These donuts are soaked.
Sloppy donuts. These are the sloppiest.
Soaked.
This is the sloppiest donuts you can find.
Dripping glaze.
Triple glaze. Ask today about the triple glaze special. Say code word jizz to get a free 20% Blabrats discount on your first glaze job today.
Also brought to you by Sonnet.com. It's Shakespeare, more better.
Sonnet.com. Get laid like Shakespeare did.
If you're classy, you should go to brownpouponnets.com today and wipe your ass with real Shakespeare quotes every time you go to the shitter.
Brown Pouponnets. Send in code word jizz. For a 20% discount on your first roll today.
And also sponsored by the Hat Tracker app. Go ahead, download the Hat Tracker app to your hat, install the Bluetooth integrated design, and you can track any hat on any person anywhere in the world at any time, right from the comfort of your own hat.
Hey, where's that Montreal Expos 950 snapback New Era hat I used to have?
It's on 78th and Broadway, headed south.
Ding!
I suspect terrorist activity.
Take me there now, Kit.
With the Hat Tracker app, we've saved 9/11s 100 times over. Thanks, 9/11. Hat Tracker app
Hot Trucker app.
for making us the #1 9/11 Hat Tracker app. This is hosts on behalf of the producer saying goodbye from Blab Rats. Blah 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 blah.